All right, good morning, afternoon, whenever you end up watching this video today. Some of you are live on, so I appreciate you taking the time late in your day to jump on as we talk about 401k, 403bs, or business retirement plans. We should. I want to preference that this is more for those who are kind of in your working year stages, but I also talked to a couple of people earlier in this week who asked about that and it's great to share this information. So I know someone said they may be they're retired, but they may be jumping on just for the sake because they want to talk to their kids about this, which is what we should be doing anyway for those who are either close to retirement or in retirement. But I want to focus on several key purpose topics, if you will, as we go through the next 30 minutes. I want to give a really high level or a fairly high level of overview of what retirement plans really are. So we'll talk about plan provisions and things like that from a high level. There's a lot of clients, employees of clients that I talk to on a daily, weekly, monthly basis who still don't understand some of these parameters in their plans. I just think it's a good idea to have a better understanding of that. So we'll go through that in a couple of minutes. I want to stress the importance. The second purpose, stress the importance of why we should all be participating in these company plans that are offered to us. This benefit, it is. I mean, I'll hit this a little harder in a little while, but it's amazing for someone who helps people enter the retirement years. You know, we have all the time that we're in our accumulation years, and then we have our retirement in our distribution years. It's amazing that there are so many of us who just don't really participate, don't understand how to, don't give it enough time and energy. Start late, the younger folks that aren't joining in to participate. So it's very important for us as a community of people in workforces just to share that and mentor others if we are doing it, help those who aren't. I think that's better for us as a society, if nothing else. And then the third big point is maybe I'll be able to share a few things with you that you're not getting from your employers, consultants, or advisors. So a few of you on the call, or who will watch this recording later, if you're not on the call, you may be an employee of a client of ours. We do manage a lot of 401ks and 403b plans around Georgia, particularly. So I meet with a lot of employees every year on these type of topics. But so hopefully you're getting that from us. But if you may be calling in or listening to this and not really in a plan that you don't have someone coming around as much or have the opportunity to talk to them or get these questions answered. So hope maybe I'll provide you something that can help you with that or give you direction to who to talk to and get those questions answered. So and I will say this, we do manage plans. So if you're an employee of a company who's not getting enough what you feel service on your plan, let your HR department know. I'd love to talk to him or her or them as far as what we do to help employers. So let's get started on some of the slides here. And you will, another housekeeping thing. The chat room is not open, so we can't, for those live, we can't take live questions on this call. You can go, I'll give you contact information at the end, but if you have to jump off this early, go to our website if you want to reach out. It's the W is www.highlandtrustpartners.com. Again, it's highlandtrustpartners.com. Go to my bio page. You can actually book a consultation. So if you need to ask some questions off of this later, and at some point you can actually book a phone call off my bio page on our website. So that's a follow-up thing in case you have to get off this call early, or you'll see it on the recording later if you watch it off the recording later. But so chat's closed. I am recording, as I mentioned. We'll probably post this in recording maybe in the next week. I can get it up on our YouTube channel, and we'll have that sent on social media and emails and things too, so that can be shared around to other people too that you may know that could benefit from this. And these slides, I'm happy to email these to anybody who wants them. So they're not proprietary to us. I build them to help people. If you want to get these in the slide deck, just send me an email, and you can get my email off of my bio page as well if you don't have my email address, and I'm happy to send these over. All right, so like I said, it just doesn't seem like enough people are paying attention. I've been in this business now for almost 29 years. It's been a while, working in retirement plans for businesses for that long since I've been in finance. And um, it's better. It's a lot better as far as participation than it was earlier in my career. I still think we're lagging when I get these new clients who are individual clients who are in their 50s and they really want to hire somebody to start coaching them into retirement years. It's discouraging and sad sometimes that they know that they haven't put enough away and they're trying to figure out how to be coached around that. What else can we do as planners to get them a success, to have them a successful retirement? So which is part of the reason I want to do this more often than just today, is because I really want people to focus on it. I want people to pay more attention to it. I want them to know why it's so important. So when we're done, there's three with this today, or if you watch the recording, the three things I definitely want takeaways from, if possible, is you understand better your plan overall, or how a plan works. Whether it's a 403b and a 401k, basically the same thing. One's more of a government type plan, like hospitals and schools. One churches. One's more of a corporate profit center type plan, like any small business, large business, corporation kind of thing. So a better understanding of your plan. That'd be plan provisions a little bit. The importance to set it up correctly. So that's some of the things you'll see there in asset allocation, proper investments, Roth versus preferred. We'll cover that in a few minutes. And then how do you find an accountability partner in this if you need one? I've always been a believer, particularly when it's things like somebody wants to get in better shape, somebody wants to improve their health, somebody wants to learn a musical instrument, somebody wants to learn a foreign language, somebody wants to get their finances in better order. To have a coach, a teacher, a trainer, an accountability partner will get you there faster and better. A lot of people can do this stuff on their own, all those things on their own. AI, Google, whatever you want to do with it. But an accountability partner, somebody that you can talk to, work with. It could be a spouse, a family member, somebody like us, somebody at your business. But having somebody that can help you understand that you have to kind of an answer to every once in a while will definitely get you there. Probably better and faster for sure. Okay. So we're going to cover this real quickly. Like I'll send these to you if you want to. I don't want to go too in depth into this and take all our time just on provisions, but I do want to hit some of these definitions. So eligibility. So when you can begin. Plans are all a little bit different. So if you have never started your plan or joined one yet, you talk to your HR department, but it's how long you've been there and your age and your hours worked and things like that. So they're all a little bit different. I've kind of put that in there a little bit more for if you're talking to a coworker, maybe a new employee at your business, or you're in management yourself at the business that you're working in. I think that's key to kind of mentor people in knowing that and get them enrolled, which is the next bullet point. So the enrollment date is when you can start. So you can be eligible after, say, a year, 18 years of age and 1 year of service, and your enrollment may only be semi-annually. So you can only join on July 1st and January 1st. So that's what enrollment dates means, eligibility enrollment. A lot of you probably know that, but I wanted to at least bring that up again because your employer can change that for future hires. But if you have any, like I said, mentor or management over any people, or you just have a coworker you're friends with, and they're new to the company, or just make sure you also explain that to them. Don't rely on HR always to get them structured. Okay. Employee contributions. So I've updated these numbers with the 2026 IRS rules. So you can contribute all of your pay. I mean, some people ask me what percentage of the pay can they put in. Your employee contribution can be 100%. Now it caps out at a number. So let's just say hypothetically somebody's making $20,000 a year. Maybe they're working part-time and they are eligible to participate. You can put all $20,000 in your 401k plan, because the max you can put in for 2026 is 24,500. Okay. So whatever percent of pay you want to put in, as long as it doesn't cap out past 24,500 this year, and it goes up every year a little bit. Typically does. IRS usually does that. You can put that in there. If you're over 50, this is a big one. There's a lot of 50-plus-year-olds that are trying to catch up and max out as much as they possibly can, and they forget to do this. or somebody's not consulting with them, HR is not talking to them. But if you're over 50, you're allowed to put in more. If you're over 60 to 60, if you're over 60, if you're 60 to 63, you're allowed to put in even more. It's called a super catch up for an act that just passed a few years ago. So that's new. But what I would ask you to do instead of going through all the math on those types of things, if you're trying to put as much in as possible, just remember the 24/5. You can do that. A lot of your plans out there allow you not to just do percentages, but also do dollars. So you can say, I want $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month instead of trying to come up with the math on a percentage of what you make. So keep that in mind. The plans I work with, if you're a client of ours, we try to set them up where we give the employees both options. That way that they can just putting a dollar figure on your form or your contribution amount is a lot easier than trying to work the percentage out. So just know that. All right. But if you are over 50 or over 60 and you're trying to put in more, talk to someone. Just talk to your HR department, talk to your actually I accidentally left Voya portal in there. It's one of the providers we use. But talk to your record keeper, and Voya is a record keeper as an example. So Fidelity, Voya, Empower, name the hundreds of others who actually manage retirement plans. Just make sure you cover that with them to get your max contribution put in. Okay. Roth. Now I'm going to hit this a little bit harder in a minute, so I won't spend a lot of time on this. You can do tax deferred, which means you're not paying tax on it now. You'll pay tax on it when you take it out later, when you start pulling the money out sometime in retirement years. Or you can do Roth, which is taxed today, and then at the end when you take it out, it's tax free. Okay, so all the earnings are tax. You already paid tax on what you put in, and the money that the money it made is tax free to you. All right, so you're allowed to do that. A lot of people get caught up with the Roth conversation as far as, Chris, I didn't think I could do Roth. I make too much money to do Roth. You make too much money to do a Roth individual IRA, maybe through an investment firm or the bank. That doesn't matter inside of 401k plans and 403b plans. You can make whatever. If you want to contribute to Roth, you can. I'm going to touch that a little bit harder in a second because I'm a huge believer in Roth contributions. Employer contributions is what they call the match. So you've heard that. You probably know that. Hopefully you've paid attention to this, because what we want to see is that any employee that sits down with anybody on our team and wants to talk about how much should they put in their account if they're not trying to max out, we want to make sure that at least get the full match out of it. So every company has its own formula. There's some standards out there. Your company may be doing it totally different than your spouse's company is doing. So they set that formula. Some companies don't even match. That's still a thing. It's surprising, but most companies do, thank God. When I was, again, going back 15, 20 years, there were still a lot of companies we had to push to actually for the employer to put money in for the employees. Now most do. But you had to put some in for them to put some in. All right. So the one thing I wanted to bring up here is that the employer money, the match money, let's just say, let's say somebody, Chris, I want to put $10,000 a year into my account Roth. I want to put it all in Roth. I'm going to pay tax on the 10 today out of my payroll. And that's going to be my Roth bucket built into my account. Your employer will also match in some formula based on what you put in. The money they put in is not Roth. The money they put in will be taxable later. So you'll have two buckets in your account. You're going to have a Roth, that's your contribution bucket, whatever you did, Roth in this case. You'll also have an employer match bucket. The employer match bucket is always taxable. Okay. So even if you choose Roth tax-free after-tax contributions today, you're still going to have a tax-deferred bucket building up because that's what the company's putting in for you. So we have to cover that a little bit because some people are still confused and think that if they choose Roth, the company's money is Roth too. That's not the case. So I want you keep that in mind. Vesting. One thing I want to make sure you understand is that the money you put in, I think most people know this, I still get the question, is the money you put in is always your money. So whatever dollar you contribute to your account out of your paycheck, it's always yours. If you leave the company, that's your money to take with you. If you pass away, that's going to go to your beneficiaries. That is your money always. The company money, the match money, it could have something called a vesting schedule. All right. Some companies don't. Some companies you're automatically vested as soon as you contribute and they put money in for you, the dollar they put in or whatever percentage that is, it is automatically vested. If something happened to you, you pass away, you go to another, you leave that company, go to another one. You can take that money with you too. Most companies have something called vesting, though, where you have to work a certain amount of time there before what they do for you, you can take. And that makes sense, right? I mean, if they're going to commit to give you extra, call it a bonus, if you will, then they want to make sure you're going to be with them a little while before you get to keep the bonus that they're putting in for you. All right. So this is just an example of what a vesting schedule would look like. It can be a number of different examples. This is not this is not standard. This is not what everybody has. This is just something that will say in this case, this employee would have to work 6 years at the company before the money the company puts in will be 100% vested, or they can take with them if something happens, death or leave the company. All right. Most companies allow for rollovers. So we talk about this a good bit with employees. If you have come from another company and you have a 403B or 401k or maybe another type of retirement benefit name, it could be an acronym or something somewhere else. Most companies now allow for those funds to also be rolled into your new plan. That's a choice. It doesn't mean you have to do it. It's just something that some people will, it could be an ease of consolidation of things, so things aren't spread around different places. It could be, Chris, I'm worried that my former company may not do very well, and they may shut their doors. That's still your money. You can get it. It just may take you another couple of steps because now the company's closed. So they consolidation is one thing people really consider. Some people would rather take the money out of their former plan and roll it to a personal IRA account. We've done a ton of those for clients where they don't roll it to their current employer. They just roll it out to have it managed in a separate IRA. That's a choice. It's not, you don't have to. If you do have, though, your former employer. So if your balance at your former employer is less than $7,000, so you weren't there long, maybe, or you never participated heavy, and your balance is that low, that company can force you out. So they can send you a letter, and I do this with my clients. If you're one of my clients at company, you've got several employees who are no longer with you, their accounts are below 7,000. Let's send them a letter saying you have X number of days, a couple of months, to either roll over to somewhere an IRA or your current employer, or you will get a check in the mail. The check's going to come with tax withholdings, and it's also a potential penalty if you don't do something with it. So if you have a smaller account somewhere, you need to do the rollovers. I'm just going to push you on that one a little bit. Investment menus, very important. So this doesn't get enough play or enough conversation. The funds that you have at your employer, pay attention to them. Talk to the consultants that come around with what's available to you, and make sure that you have the best structure for you. And we'll talk about that again too in just a second. But I'll give you an example for our clients. We work really hard to make sure their employees have the best possible investment options there are. I'm assuming if you're not a client of ours either, that you're getting the same thing at your employer, because that's a fiduciary duty by your employer to assure that's happening. So just understand what's offered. Understand if you had target date funds, what they are. Understand if you have asset allocation funds, what they will do for you, and how you can talk to someone to get the right investment mix that's going to work for your needs. Okay, that's very, very important. Very important. Investment transfers. Most plans allow you to make changes anytime you want to. That used to not be the case either, but 99%, I haven't seen one in a while that doesn't allow you to make changes anytime you want. Going back to contributions too, I didn't say it. You can make changes in contributions really anytime you want to. So that's kind of a thing that's gone by the wayside also. That used to you couldn't do it. Now, if you want to go from 3% to 6% to 5%, you can pretty much do it anytime you want. It's just going to catch it through payroll, and usually, but talk to your HR department because every client's a little different, how the structure works. But typically, you can log into your portal, you can make changes, and it will just happen. It takes maybe a payroll cycle to catch up, but you can do that. Most plans allow hardship withdrawal, and pretty much all plans do these days. So that follows IRS rules. If you're ever in a situation where that you have a major medical issues, if there's a burial expense that it can't be afforded to be paid by a relative, a parent, that you need to cover, if there's some college expenses that are really strapping you financially, there are some rules that you can Google IRS hardship withdrawals and see what they are. So I understand when people get in a very hard situation financially and they need to withdraw money for that. There are some provisions that allow you to do that. It doesn't have the same consequence as the next option, which is taking a loan out, which is the third bullet point on this one. I'll hit that first. So most plans, a lot of plans, not all, allow loans. Basically, you're borrowing your own money. You kind of have your own interest rate to pay back. You do have to pay back your money, or you get penalized for it. This is all I'm going to say about loans. The companies who do allow you to take loans out, before you take a loan, talk to someone. Talk to an expert. It's the consultant advisor on your company's plan. It's us if we're that person. Just do a little bit more research. Don't think there's some pundits out in the press who say, if you ever need a loan, borrow it from your plan, as the worst possible advice I can give someone. It may be the option you need to go to, but I would dare say it is probably one of the last options to consider when you need funds is to take a loan out of your 401k plan. So there's a lot of things to that you need to know, or negative consequences potentially. If you're over 59 and a half, you can take money out of your plan penalty free. So even if you're still employed, it's called in-service withdrawals. Most plans have it at 59 and a half. Some plans have it earlier. Some plans, I haven't seen a plan in a long time that has it higher than that. So, but once you hit that age, that in-service withdrawal age, you can pull money out of your 401k, a 403b account. Don't always advise it. It depends on what you're going to do with it. So I would talk to someone, but you can do it penalty free at that time. Some things I see a lot of, honestly, is people who have that last few years or so left on a mortgage and they hit that age and they're like, you know what, it just feels so good to go ahead and pay this mortgage down. They pay the mortgage down and they take the mortgage payments they would have paid for the next whatever, however many years, and they up their 401k contributions from there. I think that's actually a beautiful idea, but talk to an expert before you do that, I would dare say. And then I already mentioned withdrawals and distributions. Your money's free and clear to take whenever something happens to you at retirement, passing away, left the job, termination of service, had a disability. There's some allowance there too. Company money, as we talked about, sometimes it's fully vested, sometimes there's a schedule involved with it. So that's kind of a definition of provisions. I know I flew through that, but most of you probably know it. If you go to your portals from whatever record keeper that you use, the Voya Fidelities and those powers, that's going to be on your portal somewhere you can find in documents. You also should get these every year from your HR department. So if you ever want to see plan provisions, you can reach out to HR or to one of those record keepers that you use and just say, I want to see the plan provisions for my company's retirement plan. And if you need somebody to help explain them to you, reach out to that expert or that consultant on your plan. All right, so let's get into saving. Why in the world are we doing this anyway? On the left side of this sheet, we see why in gosh name we would actually put money away in some retirement account, in some retirement funds, regardless of what type. Because we have to pay for stuff. I mean, expenses don't go away. So, and this is customized to you. I don't like cookie cutter rules. I don't like saying everybody should have this much money, and we'll hit that in a second, or you're going to cover this much in expenses. We all have different expenses. We all have different means of existence of what we enjoy doing. We all have different bills, debts, fun stuff, family issues, and incomes, so forth and so on. So, but we need to figure out what ours are. So if you take any slide off of this deck and you'll pay a little attention to it, I would suggest it's this one. Just to understand as you're trying to figure out, because I get the question, Chris, how much should I have or how much should I save? I don't know. There is no cookie cutter to this. Get the match. That's my first one. First answer is just make sure you're putting enough away to get the company money. But second is whatever you're putting away has to cover these expenses for later in life. And it takes time to work through this. It's harder when you're 40 to figure this out than when you're 55. I'm 55 next week. So it's a little easier because we kind of have an understanding of what it may look like or what's going to be at 60 and 65 and 70 when we're closer to it. But Uh, Educated guess when we're younger is still a great idea, or in that case, just put as much away as you can. You're going to have different means to pay for things when you're in retirement. It's not just what you're saving in your 401k or 403b. It's your spouse's retirement from their work. It's your other retirement accounts. Maybe you're saving on the side. If you're doing an HSA, which is hugely important if you have the opportunity to save in the HSA, I'm a big proponent of those. You have equity in your house you could possibly use, which is another reason people like paying off their house with that 59.5 in service. So they have all 100% equity in their home they can utilize in case emergency. Other taxable accounts, life insurance you may be able to pull from for cash value. You may have long-term care insurance. That's a beautiful thing if you're able to get that and have it. Social security income, pension income, so forth and so on. So you're going to have resources to pull from to cover expenses. What I ask people to try to figure out as we age, that's why coaching is so important over time, is that what does a gap between all this look like? That's the amount of money we got to figure a couple things out. So we got to figure out how to manage those expenses, or we got to figure out how to pull more income from somewhere later in life, or we just have to save more and hope we're invested in it correctly so we can use it, grows enough to use it later. It's a formula and it's a complicated one at times. So I would strongly suggest to start thinking about this if you never have, regardless how old you are. And if you need more coaching on it, find someone that can coach you. So we're going to talk about investment strategy real quick. This won't take but a couple of minutes, and we're getting close to end of time anyway, so that's good. This is what I see as a problem with investments. People are not reviewing them every 3 years or so. You need to pay attention to your investment strategy and look at about every 3 years. People looking at it too much, so they get nervous and they start making changes and they don't need to. And I'll explain that in 2 seconds. They're putting it all in cash inside their retirement plan because they're worried about what markets are doing, or they're being too conservative in general and conservative type of investments because they may still have 20 years till they retire, but they're nervous about the U.S.-Iran conflict, the Russia-Ukrainian conflict, the inflation. Name the 1,000 things that happen all the time. It's always happened in my 30 years of this career. There's always things. They're being too conservative. They're not needing the money yet. They may not need it for years, but they watch their account way too much. They're being too aggressive when they get close to needing it. So this is not. One thing I talk to people about a lot is that you're not saving till you're 65. You're not saving till you're 62. You're not saving till your retirement date. You're saving through till you're no longer with us. Okay. Or you and your spouse are no longer with us. You need to change your investment horizon or your investment risk when you're about 3 to 5 years away from needing the funds, not when you retire, just to let you know. So as an example of risk, just look at the differences between the average returns of something conservative and something aggressive. I don't want to see people here and they need their money next year. This is too aggressive because there's a lot of volatility to it. I don't want to see people here on the conservative side when they've got 5, 10, 12 years away from needing money. That's just being way too conservative for them for the most part. Most people are going to float around these numbers here. They're going to be balanced or growth. I love people in retirement plans being a little bit more aggressive, but sometimes the volatility can make them a little nervous. But hopefully, in one slide from here, I'm going to explain why that's not. Shouldn't be as big a deal as it made out to be. So the difference in dollars, if I took $10,000 in each of these cases, invested it for 15 years, the difference in money is astronomical. So let's just go from the conservative to the growth. $10,000 over 15 years is $23,230. $10,000 here in growth in 15 years is $36,211. That's a $13,000 difference. That's a big difference. So most people are going to end up somewhere in the middle for the most part. That's why target date funds are so important. That's why asset allocation funds are so important. That's why people should probably put the majority of their money in things like that unless they hired someone to help them manage inside their plan. The do-it-yourselfers picking their own investments at times make more mistakes. I've said it for my whole career, make more mistakes because they let emotion drive their decisions. They let emotion drive their changing from aggressive to conservative, conservative to aggressive, going back and forth. And it's a whipsaw effect that just does not do well with their overall saving strategy. So what I want to talk about with Dollar cost averaging, which if you've ever heard me speak to your company, you've heard me say this every single time. Next to compounding interest, this is my favorite investment strategy of all time. Buying things on sale is awesome. So every time, as you know, when your paycheck hits, you're making a contribution in your plan. It could be $50, $100, $200, whatever it is. And your employers put money in for you too at that time as well, if this a match. So every paycheck money's going into your account. I actually like, and so should you, if you have volatility in your account when that happens. Because what's going on, if you have a dip, say the market didn't do very well on payday, awesome. You're actually buying more of something really good, something good on sale. You've heard me say the story probably plenty of times that if it's a really good coat on and it goes on sale in March because winter's over, buy the coat for next winter. If it's a great bathing suit that goes on sale at the end of the summer, I mean, you may not wear it till April or May the next year. So what? You got it on sale. You saved a lot of money. That's a great deal. Take the deals. Dollar cost average is a way to take the deals. That's why most of us, unless we're really close to using the money, that's why most of us in retirement plans, 401ks, 403bs, this strategy makes us so much more than doing it differently. It makes us so much more than saying, oh, I'm scared of the market, I'm going to cut my contribution down. I'm scared of the market, I'm going to be more conservative. Opposite effect. Stay the course that you're doing. Maybe it's the growth strategy we talked about a second ago, and let that go on sale for you during these dips. And at the end of the day, you will make a higher return than you would ever thought possible, just because of smart investing, following dollar cost averaging strategy. Okay, I hate cookie cutter. We're almost done. I promise I'm a couple minutes over. I hate cookie cutter, but here's something that I have talked to people about to kind of get this conversation started. This is basically what I want people to think about as a foundation, a beginning starting point. How much should I have, Chris? So it's times your salary. So if you're at say 40, let's say you're 45 years old. Okay. Say you and your spouse are 45 years old. Your combined salary for you and your spouse, say it's $150,000. Your combined savings should be 4 times 150, okay, or $600,000. That does not have to be your 401k, your 403b. It can be a combination of other things too. There's on that list a second ago. But your savings that you've set aside for retirement years, at that point should be around 600. For some people, that's going to be like, oh my God, I'm so far behind. What do I do? For some people, it's going to be like, well, I'm way ahead of that. Should I cut back? That's good conversations to have an accountability partner for. But this is a good cookie cutter starting point. This is not for everybody because everybody's situation is a little bit different. So talk to someone about where should I be now and how do I improve that if I need to? Okay. Roth traditional, save in Roth if you possibly can. So why I tell people to look to save in the Roth is because taxes today are historically low. So the taxes we're paying on our money today, and we pay tax on Roth money today, traditional money later. Taxes today are historically low. They seem high. Taxes always seem high. Any tax seems high, but they are historically low in this country. Earnings on Roth are tax free. That's one of the few things we can ever put money into. The government allows us to do that. We won't have to pay tax on it. So as your account, that example I gave a little while ago for saving $10,000 at those different risk rates, I mean, all that growth is free. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And there could be, I don't know if this will ever happen, but if the government says, look, we're giving away too much free money, we need to stop this program, you already grandfathered in for what you've already done. So you've already built a bucket or have a bucket started, I think, which is great. All right. It also helps in tax planning and retirement, having Roth money instead of traditional, because there are surcharges on Medicare potentially, and Social Security can also be taxed as well. So taking distributions from traditional 401k or 403b savings can cause you to pay more in Social Security tax. It can also cause surcharges on Medicare. Roth does not do that. So that's another reason. The last reason, which is obviously I love too, which is going to hit this next benefit on this next page, is that Roth is a better beneficiary savings method than traditional, because your kids will pay tax on your 401k, 403b traditional savings. Your kids will not pay tax on Roth. So you're giving your kids tax-free money also. So estate planning is a fun with Roth is a phenomenal tool, and I love talking to people about this. Quick on bennies, just make sure you update them, check them, make sure you got the right people on them. I don't like minors. I get this question. If you have kids that you want to leave minors as your beneficiary, the best thing you could possibly do is set up a trust for your kids and leave the trust as the beneficiary, not the individual children as minors, but you can change them later when they become of age, or, an 18-year-old with money is not probably the smartest thing either. But having said that, I don't like minors as beneficiaries. And then if you ever want to name someone other than your spouse, maybe a child, maybe a family member, just understand that he or she has to sign to allow that to happen. So you probably heard that before too. So anybody, your spouse is by law has to be your primary beneficiary, or he or she has to agree that's okay. Okay. So what can Highland Trust do? Just we can be an accountability partner, or you find someone else to be that for you. You know, we analyze your situation, all the things we talked about. Our firm does that for people. If you ever want to reach out to us to talk about these types of things, you feel like you need some help, you don't have someone else you can work with for this, God, just please just let us know, because it's a passion of ours to make sure people are going to be okay as they hit retirement years, and usually about 5 years ahead. We can't do a whole lot when you're a year ahead. We can help you after the fact, but the planning's already, this planning strategies have already been taken care of, or we're past that point. But if you're about 5 years out of retirement, probably 20 years away, people like us can really dig in and get you some good advice. So with that, I guess the biggest thing, HighlandTrustPartners.com, you can look at any of our team members. You can reach out to any of us. It's not just me. So you can email us on that email address, retirement at HighlandTrustPartners.com. I mentioned my bio is on, all of our bios are on our website. Pull our bios up. You can schedule a call with me. I have a scheduling app on my bio. If you want to grab a 15-minute call or longer, you can book longer if you want to. And we can kind of small talk it if you will. But with that, recording's going to be out. You'll get links on it. Share this information. I mean, just this is trying to be helpful to all. So I hope it was. I hope you learned something. I hope you took some things away. And when you get the recording out there, share it with coworkers, share it with your kids, share it with family, friends, whoever else, and let's move the needle forward. With that, I hope you have a good evening, and we will maybe see you one day. Thank you. Bye-bye.